Hello, Detective Banks. I want to play a game.
You should probably run.
No.
Hell no.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here, and welcome back for another movie review. And today we're going to be looking at The Last Voyage of the Demeter from 2023.
The Demeter, out at sea, with no land in sight.
This looks like a bite.
There's something out there.
We'll reach London in 2 weeks.
By which time we'll all be dead.
We call him Dracula.
He's coming!
Rated R.
Only in theaters August 11th.
The Last Voyage of the Demeter stars Corey Hawkins, Alison Francisco, I'm probably butchering that name, Javier. The plot of The Last Voyage of the Demeter is that the crew of the merchant ship, the Demeter, sets sail from Carpathia to London to deliver a cargo of 50 unmarked wooden crates. However, they soon discover they're not alone, as Dracula's unholy presence turns the trip into a nightmarish fight for survival. Before I start this review, let me get to say that this is one of those films I've heard about. I saw the trailers for last year, and I haven't gotten a chance to see it, but I now have Amazon Prime, so it's on Amazon Prime right now, so I was able to go and watch this movie. So let's dive into my thoughts on it. Personally, I felt like for the most part, it is a very well made movie. Like, cinematography is really good. Again, this is a period piece movie, so a lot of it's from a certain time, and honestly, I felt like it was done very well. I liked the set, I liked the costume design, I liked just so many different things about the movie. I would also say the acting was really good. All the actors did really well. I don't think I could think of a really bad performance in this movie. Also too, so some people said this film mostly does digital effects, and that's not 100% true. I watched the film, and the film mixes digital and practical effects, and for the most part, when it's practical, it is really good. Really good practical effects, makeup, all that different stuff. I also like, surprisingly, it wasn't as bloody as I thought it was. And now I know some people would probably be turned off by that, because, you know, it's a horror film, it needs blood and guts and all that stuff, and I'm like, no, not really. I mean, again, it is gory, but not as gory as I thought it would be. I thought it would have been a lot more gory than this, and honestly, I was pretty surprised. I really liked that it toned down the gore for this. Also too, I thought the film's pacing was done really well. The film clocks in at an hour and 58 minutes, and doesn't, feels maybe like more like an hour and 48 minutes, like 10 minutes less than the initial runtime. So it is not a very long movie, so yeah. And of course for me, I'm a sucker for, stuff like vampires, werewolves, I mean, if you look over there, I have the poster to the original Fright Night hanging on the wall. I love that movie. I also really love the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi, 1931's Dracula. So of course, something like this would catch my eye, and especially since it's a horror movie and not something like Twilight. Yeah, I really was looking forward to this movie, and honestly, for the most part, I think it delivered. There's just maybe a few things I could have done differently, so let's move on to my next aspects. The effects. Like I said, it does use practical effects. I'm always for practical effects. I'm more for practical than digital. Like, if you can use practical effects, use them, If there's something that you can't do practically, then either retool it to where you could do it practically, like retool the scene, or just not do the scene, you know? If you can't, like, just not do the scene if you can't do it practically. But am I totally against digital effects in movies? No. I mean, there's been some digital effects that have been groundbreaking, like, look at the original Jurassic Park, for instance. That used a combination of practical effects and digital effects, and the digital effects still hold up for the most part. And also, too, without CGI, we would have not gotten, you know, companies like Pixar putting out really good animated movies. Sometimes the digital effects, well, good. I mean, The Last Voyage of Demeter does have some really good digital effects. You could still tell it's digital effects, especially when you compare it to the practical effects you see on the screen. Also, I will admit, I was very surprised with how little we saw of Dracula in this movie. Now, Dracula in this movie is not portrayed as, like, you know, Bela Lugosi or Twilight. Thank goodness he wasn't portrayed like, you know, vampires in Twilight, but this is more of a monstrous Dracula. He is creepy. He is a creepy, ugly ass motherfucker. And honestly, too, just like with the last movie, Sick, I do think there could have been some trimming down of the movie to make it a faster, tighter film. But overall, again, like I said, just like with Sick, it is not a very long movie. And honestly, for me, that's it for things I'm rather mixed on, so let's move on to my negatives. Honestly, I don't have anything rather to say negatively about the film. There was nothing in here that was like, oh man, this sucks, or that's trash, or that's garbage, or anything like that. So let's move on to my rating. So with that said, I'm going to give The Last Voyage of Demeter a 4 out of 5 star. And again, this is another 4 out of 5 star movie. Honestly, it is a really, you know, it's a good horror movie. I think it's a good horror movie. It has some stellar performances by the cast, and for the most part, I think personally has like really good set design. I like the time period setting, like the period piece setting here. Thought it was all done really well. The only things that kind of held this movie back for me is, I guess, how little they showed Dracula, but I guess they were trying to build up suspense, and they did really work well with that. And also, too, some of the digital effects, well, the digital effects were good. It still was kind of distracting, especially on Dracula. But, and then of course, they could have trimmed a bit of, you know, fat in regards to the movie to make the pacing even, you know, more. But it wasn't too bad. Overall, it's a decent flick. I would, honestly, if you're into vampire movies, if you're a horror fan, I would recommend checking out The Last Voyage of Demeter. So that's it for this review. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It would really help out the channel. And thank you guys for watching, and see you